1882.
1882, and it was built as a house and the jail.
Well, it was built as a house and 10 cells. There was only 10 cells in the beginning.
10 cells.
Yeah, 6 for men and 4 for women.
Oh, okay.
But in 1908, they needed more room, overcrowding. So they built a 3-story addition. And then in 1929, they built another 3-story addition.
Which then brought the cells to how many?
There's over 150 cells in there.
This was the jail.
This was the jail for the county.
For the county?
The whole county, not just Crown Point.
And were there moments when it was full?
Absolutely, and overcrowded. In 1966, a newspaper came in and did an article, right? And they went into one cell block where there's 6 cells, 4 beds to each cell. There were 55 men in that cell block alone.
What?
Yeah.
Tight.
Yeah. Mattresses on the floor.
Really?
Yeah, sleeping on the benches. Yeah.
And is this like a hard crime they were doing? Or were they here and then went to prison somewhere else? Like a jail is different than a prison. I just need an understanding for myself.
Right.
Okay, so this is like temporary, right, or no?
Right. County is supposed to be temporary. It is.
Okay.
You're supposed to go in there when you get your judgment, like if it's long term or even a death sentence, you would go to a state prison somewhere else. You wouldn't stay here. But with the overcrowding and the amount of cases that a judge might see, some people would sit here and wait up to 2 years before they even saw a judge.
Wow.
Sometimes there were people here for up to 10 years.
Is that right?
Yeah.
After a couple of weeks, when you said, I need to see a judge.
Well, I think they all said it. And they all said, you're on a list.
You're on a list.
You know, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Wow. We are really here, just so you know, this is what I really want to see and talk about is Dillinger.
We can do that.
Can you do that?
We can do that. I tell people it's our claim to fame.
Well, okay.
But he was only here 3 months.
Is that right?
Believe it or not. Yeah.
Can you see the judge?
He did. He was on a different list.
Oh, he was?
Yeah. They got him in pretty much right away.
Yeah.
But so in 1933, Sheriff Roy Hawley was shot and killed in a property dispute. And they asked his wife, Lillian, to finish his term of office, which, if you ask cops right now, that law is still in the books. They haven't changed that. If a sheriff is shot and killed in line of duty, his wife can finish his term of office. So they asked her, they had twin daughters at the time, and they lived here in the house. And they asked her, would you finish his term? And out of respect and honor of her husband, she said, yes, I will. Now, she had been very involved in taking care of female inmates. She knew the men that worked in the jail. She was very confident about it, and then came Dillinger.
Good old Lillian. She knew what she was doing.
She was an amazing woman.
Yeah.
She really was. And then here comes Dillinger. You know, he had been caught in Tucson, Arizona, right? But he was wanted in Indiana for the murder of Detective William Patrick O'Malley. There was a bank heist in East Chicago where O'Malley was killed, and Dillinger was the one they said fired that shot, you know? So we get him back here from Tucson, Arizona. He shows up. Lillian's in charge. She feels very confident they can keep him because we had other Chicago gangsters come through here, and we kept him very well. But Dillinger gets here January 30th, 1934. You know, he comes in. There's this big fanfare. The press is here. They're doing photo shoots and this and that, and it goes to the public. It looks terrible. It does. It looks like they're playing in there when he's a murderer, you know? But they keep him in here. They move him back down to the first floor out of Federal. And they're like, why'd you do that, you know? But, we still don't know. We don't have an answer to that.
Okay.
You know, but 3 months later, March 3rd, about 8:30 in the morning, all of a sudden, Dillinger has a gun. Now, whether he carved it out of wood or soap or somebody smuggled it into him, he convinced them he had a real gun.
And we don't know the story of that either, do we?
I think it's lost to history.
Oh, it is? Okay.
I really do.
What do you think? You think it was a real gun?
I think it was an inside job.
An inside job?
That's my opinion.
Do you think Lillian was in love with him?
No.
Okay, just wanted to know.
No, I don't. And that rumor did come out.
Did it?
Did come out in the paper.
Where I went immediately.
It did. But if you knew Lillian as a person and followed her after facts of, you know, the way she lived the rest.
That wasn't it.
That was not it.
Okay.
But being a female and a sheriff and young, she was relatively young in her 40s, and to have Dillinger escape underneath you, the backlash was terrible for her at the time.
Yeah.
She went through a lot.
Yeah.
And maintained with dignity, you know, which was great. But he convinced everybody I was a real gun. He locks everybody up in a cell that was working here. right? He takes one guy, Ernie Blanc. He was a detective that day doing fingerprints. He takes him, and Herbert Youngblood was another inmate that went with him. And they run through the courtyard. They go out to the garage and back. They're going to steal a car, but they can't get the keys. They're locked in the safe inside. So what they do is go 2 doors down to the town garage. They walk in there. They have machine guns. They were sitting in the office because they wanted to be ready if the gang came in to break him out. So they have machine guns, a hostage. They walk in the garage.
At the town garage they have that?
Yeah, they walk in. They say, we need a fast car. Eddie Sager was the mechanic that day. And he says, well, here's Sheriff Holly's brand new V8 Ford. They took the sheriff's car. And they took Eddie Sager too. And they drove right down the middle of town. And all the townspeople are like, that's not Sheriff Holly.
Wow.
You know, they knew the car.
Yeah.
But they were headed towards Peatone, Illinois. But it's March 3rd, it's snowing, everything else. They stopped to put chains on the tires. That's when they told Eddie Sager and Ernie Blanc, you guys get out, we don't need you anymore. And they made him walk back to Crown Point.
Well, that's better than the alternative.
Better than the alternative, for sure.
Wow.
But once you cross state line in a stolen vehicle, that's a federal offense. Now the FBI's coming in after him. But literally the day he escaped from here, no gunfire, no chase. When the detectives or the officers finally got out of the cells that they were locked in and went to get their cars, Dillinger had disabled all of them by pulling the wires off the distributor caps.
Really?
No chase, no gunfire. He walked out of here, you know? And if we do go in and walk through there, you're gonna see how improbable that was. Like, he must have been the luckiest guy there.
Or inside job, right?
It's possible.
Yeah.
Now, after that happened, though, they did bring a lot of these people in for questioning. Ernie Blanc, for sure.
Yeah.
You know? But nobody was ever indicted or convicted of any crimes.
Such a good story.
I know,
can I
right?
tell you?
History's exciting.
You really tell it well. You do.
Thank you.
I'm completely invested.
Right. History's exciting.
It is
You know, you
exciting.
got to get people invested in it because
Yeah.
we love history.
Yeah.